Well, hello again, everyone. My name is Scott Morris. I am the GTS Director of Business Development for Gaming, and we are here with another one of our retailer to publisher webinars. Today, I am joined by Dan Rowan from Ultra Pro Entertainment, who some of you are more than likely very familiar with Ultra Pro, the company as a large. We're going to be talking today about the entertainment division, which is focused on board games and the tabletop entertainment side of things. And this is a company that I like to kind of attribute to the fact that they kind of have something for everyone, which is really awesome, depending on what type of clientele you have in your stores, depending on what type of consumers you have. If you're looking for family games, if you're looking for strategy games, if you're looking for party games, a little bit of everything is available from their catalog, and it's all very awesome stuff. They got some really great partnerships and some really great brands. And we're going to talk about a lot of those today. Just as a reminder, we are recording this and this goes on YouTube. So if you are here live, you are welcome to ask any kind of questions you like. All you have to do is hover over your video window, and at the bottom, you'll see a chat bubble. You can then ask a question to either the panelists, which are myself and Dan, or you can ask a question to the panelists and all the attendees, and all of the other retailers will be able to see that. So that's not going to be a problem. As I like to say, everything's on the table. You're welcome to ask any kind of questions you'd like to. And yes, I know that's a terrible pun, but we'll deal with that later. If you are watching on YouTube recorded, definitely feel free to leave a comment below in the YouTube comments. We'll be happy to get back to you to answer any kind of questions you have. But we really do appreciate everybody taking the time to join. Dan, don't worry about the chat window. I'll manage that, and you can, I'll work those into the conversation as they come up, but definitely feel free to focus on the awesome stuff that you have in your deck. With that, again, thank you all so much. Really do appreciate you all taking the time to join. Dan, thank you for taking the time to come and talk to our retailers as well. And with that, I'm going to kick it over to you. Let you get started, my friend.
Great. Thank you so much, Scott. Appreciate the introduction. And thank you, everybody, for coming in and joining. So as Scott mentioned, I'm with Ultra Pro Entertainment, the entertainment or game division of Ultra Pro International. And he also touched on the fact that we try to make games for all different types of retailers, all different types of consumers, starting with our children's and family, going through our party strategy. We like to have things at different price points. And again, we think that there would be something for your store and for your customers. So I'm going to just jump into the deck right now and walk you through a handful of our products. This is not everything that's in our line. We try to just focus on some of the hotness that we have going on right now, but feel free to go to our website, upecatalog.com. And I'm also going to show you a bunch of videos of our products, and you can find even more of those at upevideos.com. Some of them are little advertisements, some of them are unboxings and more of how-tos. So hopefully there's some great information for you there. Ultra Pro has been around for 70 years. You may know us mainly for some of our accessories and collectibles. We do a lot of protection for the sports industry and for the entertainment side of the market. And we opened up a game division, the entertainment division, about 5 years ago with a wide range of brands, including Jolly Roger Games, Stoneblade Entertainment, Playroom Entertainment, and a lot of other great titles from partners around the world. We're based in Los Angeles, California, where we have one of our warehouses, but we also do have one of our main distribution centers out in Columbus, Ohio. And we've got a great team of people that help us make our games and make sure that they get to you. Here's a little range of the different titles that we have. This touches on, how we break out the different games. We've even entered into the adult market with 17 plus games that are a little bit edgy. And you can find some more information on those. But we really find that those introduction to strategy games are really what our favorites are, along with, the family titles. And we deal with a lot of licenses, even though, for us, we care about what's in the box. We want to make sure that there's great gameplay, that people enjoy, the game mechanics, tell their friends and family, and want to pick it up and play it again. But of course, when you're dealing with great brands, it just makes it that much easier for people to pick up the product off the shelf. So I'm going to start off talking about our Pokemon line. I'm going to touch on our new Frogger game, and then get into some of the Lord of the Rings items that we have as well. So let's just jump right into Pokemon. I think the brand speaks for itself. It's the 25th anniversary this year. It does huge numbers in any type of media that it's in. And we are really thrilled to have 4 Pokemon SKUs for you guys right now. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start off with Pokemon Trainer Guess. This is a series of games, and there are multiple different Pokeballs that are included in the line. Each one has approximately about 150 characters. And what happens is you have a field guide, you pick a Pokemon character, and then as the unit asks you questions, it guesses which one you are thinking by using a special deduction method. So we have 3 versions: the Kanto edition, which has kind of the original Pokemon characters that are kind of the most well-known. Then we have Ash's Adventure, which takes the character Ash. That's the one that I have here. He was in over 1,000 animated series episodes, and it takes the characters from that. And then we also have the Legacy Edition, which is that cool metallic looking Pokeball that has a lot of the characters that are the mythicals and the legendaries, the first partners from all different regions. And that was a special one for the 25th anniversary. So I'm going to show you guys a quick little spot explaining Pokemon Trainer Guess.
Get ready for your Pokemon journey. Discover Trainer Guess. Hello, Trainer. It can guess which Pokemon you're thinking of. Is it an electric type? Yeah. Is it found underwater? No. Is your Pokemon mainly yellow? Yes. I think I found it. You were thinking of Pikachu. Yeah. Help to guess your Pokemon, and it will be added to your electronic collection. Check it at any time. Look in the field guide for ideas. Start your Pokemon quest and take the fun with you. Let's catch all of them with Trainer Guess, Kanto Edition. Get ready.
So as the unit explained, it will actually store which ones you have in your unit itself, but then you can also check them off on the field guide. And so you get to learn about the different Pokemon characters if you didn't already know about them. And kids love to walk around with them, play with them. I've got 2 little boys at home, and just using those Pokemon as kind of a fun role play aspect is great in addition to the game. So Pokemon Trainer Guess has got a $25 MSRP. We have 3 versions out now, but stay tuned because we have a new one coming for 2022, and we've got a lot more in that Pokemon line.
Yeah, if I can jump in real quick on that one. So, my job as being the director of business development is to work with our partners and be a partner manager. But another big part of it is to look at what are the right things that we should be including in our catalog and being, put in front of our retailers. And my big thing is always around opportunity and uniqueness, things that will provide opportunities for retailers to be able to sell through this product really quickly. Because at the end of the day, while we have warehouses, we don't want product just sitting around collecting dust, and neither do our retailers. They don't want to be a warehouse. They don't want to be, anything, storing stuff. They want to be selling stuff as much as possible. When we first saw these, there was a lot of questions from our sales team, and they were like, well, are these games? Are these toys? Like, this looks like something I should buy at Target, maybe not at a retailer store. Like, how does this work? And it was really comical because I remember the conversation that I had with our sales managers. I told them, I said, at this point in time, and this is a couple of months ago, so at this point in time, anything with the Pokemon name on it is so ridiculously in demand right now that it's going to be something that's going to be looked at. And maybe it doesn't do well. And I remember saying that, maybe these things come out, maybe they're just kind of greeted lukewarm and that's it. But there's going to be stores that are going to have an opportunity with these things because they're A, going to have more casual foot traffic coming in, and B, already have a lot of focus on Pokemon. And this is a really easy thing to, transition from selling Pokemon cards to younger players to selling something like this to younger players as well. And I'm very happy to say that this month alone, with the release of these, we track all of our products on a monthly basis as to who has done the most in dollars and who's done the most in revenue. You may have seen it. We call it the GTS Power products that we put out every month on social media, and it's on our website. But these 3 are making up 3 of the top 5 items in our monthly sales this month. So they have been absolutely crushing it, like multiple, well over 1,000 units. These things have all done extremely, extremely well. And I think that it's a combination of, obviously, the brand is very strong, but it's also a situation where we're reaching into the holidays now. And as we see more and more news articles about people saying, hey, you need to buy now, don't wait for, December because there's going to be supply chain issues and things like that. Having these things readily available at a time when that is happening, and at a time where a lot of the retailers are going to be seeing more consumer casual foot traffic entering their stores, I think that's all a big recipe for success right there. So these have been really phenomenal. And I'm really excited to hear there's another one coming in 2022, which is awesome. But these have been really great. So I just wanted to kind of share that with the retailers. So.
I appreciate you pointing that out, Scott. We've done a great job at Ultra Pro, staying on top of our inventory, bringing in tons and tons of containers. We have fallen into that pitfall that a lot of other people have, where we've had some held at the ports and things like that. But we have more of this product going to be coming in. Some's already on the water, a ton that's going to be coming in on early 22, and we also are seeing that huge demand. One other thing about this is these all have those IC chips that kind of drive the AI behind them. And as I'm sure you've read or heard about, with the prices of cars going through the roof and so many other electronics being affected, it's also added to our lead time a little bit. So we've really jumped on making sure that we can keep this in stock as much as possible. But as Scott said, jump on these now if you guys are interested, because they are available.
So there is a tricky question that we may not be able to answer right now, but we can answer later if we need to. But Julio, who's one of our retailers in Guatemala, so outside the United States, he asked a question around, he knows that he can't buy accessories from GTS, from Ultra Pro for Latin America, but do they have access to the games? And I know that may not be an easy yes or no, just because of the licensing and IPs and things like that.
Right. That is an excellent question. And for the most part, the Ultra Pro Entertainment line is available internationally. We are really fortunate to work with great partners in so many different territories. When it comes to this specific line, Julio, unfortunately, the Pokemon items are just for the US. And I really apologize for the inconvenience of that. I can look into which one of our partners would have it available, and whether they would have it available in English or in Spanish, I can also confirm. But this is one of these strange lines that we actually aren't even selling this one into Canada. And normally, if we have worldwide English speaking rights at the minimum, but with the Pokemon IP for this specific series and the next one I'm going to show you, we don't. So I can look into more information on that and then pass that along through Scott.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure. I'm going to jump right by. Hopefully this commercial is not going to start again.
Ready for your Pokemon.
Okay, and here we go. All right, so next we have up Pokemon Trainer Trivia. I was surprised to learn that this was the very first trivia game ever put out for Pokemon. It's in another electronic unit. It plays from 1 to 4 people, and it has over 1,000 different questions. And what I love about it is that it has 3 different levels of difficulty. So it really kind of levels the playing field. And while it can play up to 4 people and it's great in a group setting, it also allows you to play in a solitaire mode. So I'm going to show you another quick spot on Pokemon Trainer Trivia now.
So many Pokemon, so many trainers. Who will be the best? With Pokemon Trainer Trivia, choose your Pokemon and start the battle. Listen carefully. Is it true or false? Pikachu's tail is lightning bolt shaped. True. Charizard is a dragon-type Pokemon. False. Only the fastest player gets to answer. 1,000 questions from beginner to expert level. The more you play, the better you get. You can also play solo. Become the best trainer with Pokemon Trainer Trivia.
So I think that kind of speaks for itself. Again, we have more information on this product when you go to upvideos.com. We kind of have longer cuts of these. And as you guys will see, these are designed a little bit more as advertisements. We are running these in various different types of media. We have shortcuts for social media right now. We're really trying to make sure that not only you as the retailers are familiar with this, but that the consumers themselves are also coming in and asking for it. So that's been a huge initiative for us, and with our long-standing relationship with the Pokemon company, we've really got that down to a science now. So we're excited at the demand that's been created for these items. So I'm going to move past Pokemon, and again, got a lot of different information on it, but what I wanted to talk about is Frogger. Now, Frogger is one of our 2 products that is stuck at the port right now, but it's been there for 5 or 6 weeks, so we feel pretty confident that it's going to get released anytime now, and so we should have this shipped out sometime by early to mid-November. This is a simple family strategy game that plays for 2 to 4 people. And if you remember that old Atari or arcade game, you're actually trying to hop across the road and avoid getting hit by the cars. You're trying to jump on the logs and make it past the water. And it really makes you feel like you're actually playing the Frogger game without any type of electronic aspect to it. So it is the 40th anniversary of the Frogger brand, which makes me feel very old, but that launched in 1981. And even though it's got that nostalgic and kind of retro type of feel to it, it is pretty in pop culture right now. It's pretty much out there, from being on the Apple Arcade and being one of their featured products to having a live action contestant show on NBC's Peacock streaming network. So we know that there are some newer app games and things like that that the kids might be more familiar with, but this is one that I find that people in my generation are gravitating towards and will eventually want to play with their kids. So thrilled to get this out on the market. It was designed beautifully and has a $20 MSRP. I'm going to skip past that video just because it doesn't talk as much about the gameplay, but it's one that, again, I really suggest you guys checking out when you go to that site. So,
and Dan, I can include the links to those videos in the YouTube description as well.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. And again, we have a lot of videos we've been working on, since this last year and a half. We haven't been going to as many consumer conventions and trade shows. Our marketing team has poured a ton of effort into making sure that we have the videos available so people can learn about the products. So then I wanted to touch on our Lord of the Rings games. Now, these are two games that had been out on the market previously. I had launched the Battle for Middle-earth under the Playroom brand about 10 years ago. And it's a great little card game where very family friendly, 2 to 4 players. You're trying to collect the different cards, trying to build up your teams and attack it and get as many points as you can to win. It's something that we have played with strategy game players and they really appreciate the depth of it, but it's not like some of those big $60 to $100 games that are out there. We also have Journey to Mordor, which was originally an FFG product in the early 2000s. We updated the artwork for both of these games, designed the dice, and really made it a fun playing experience. Again, 2 to 4 people. So Journey to Mordor has a $12 MSRP. Battle for Middle-earth has a $15 MSRP. And we did shrink down the box. We included a board, and it's just a lot of fun. So Lord of the Rings is one of the top 5 selling books of all time. I think everybody on this call or on this video has heard of Lord of the Rings. I hope they have. But one of the things that we're really excited about is that on September 2nd, 2022, Amazon Prime is launching a whole new series based on Lord of the Rings. They're calling it the next Game of Thrones. They've already spent over $1 billion on it. It's going to be epic. And we just think that this is going to help Lord of the Rings be a brand that is on the top of people's minds. So I got a quick little video. It doesn't go too much into gameplay, but that'll tell you a little bit about Battle for Middle-earth.
Alongside your favorite heroes, fight against the powerful forces of Sauron. Create new and unique fellowships with Aragorn, Gandalf, Gimli, Legolas, and other companions. Will you stave off the hordes of creatures and defeat the army of Sauron? Or will you succumb to the attacks of these minions? The more powerful the enemies you defeat, the closer you are to victory. The Lord of the Rings, The Battle for Middle-earth. Available now.
So fun, easy, accessible game, really tied into the theme. It's based on the literary license, not on the movie, not on the TV show. So these are kind of evergreens in our mind. All right. So one of the things that we pride ourselves on are our party games. Everybody likes to have a good time when they're playing games, whether that's, diving into a deep multi-hour, strategy game or something that's really lighthearted. We really want to have something for everybody, as we started off the call saying, and as Scott mentioned. And 10 Dice really checks a lot of the boxes for us. It's a word association game where you're rolling 10 out of the 24 dice. The dice are really thick, chunky dice, over 20 millimeter dice that have words on each side. And what you have to do is you have to come up with an idea and then you have to have your opponents or teammates guess which idea that is. There are two different ways to play, a cooperative and a competitive way, and it feels a lot like Code Names without being a clone of that game at all. There's it's a lot different, but it has that similar feel to it. And what I really love about it is that it can play up to 8 people. But when you're playing in that competitive mode, it is very different than the cooperative way to play. It comes with a little dice tray that you unfold. You roll the 10 dice into that tray, and it just keeps people engaged. So it's got a very unique feel, but still has that familiarity to it. It's got a $20 price point, packaging that really jumps out. And it's one that has done very well for us since it just got launched on the market a couple months ago.
And, one of the things that I think the retailers will notice as we go through on some of these titles is that the SRP for a lot of these titles are very affordable, and they're affordable at a time that, like we just talked about, going to be much more consumer traffic, that's casual traffic walking in and out of the store. A box like this is very sharp. It's very bright. It's something that grabs people's attention. I think it's kitschy, but it works. The whole having the words upside down on each side of the die so that no matter where you're sitting around the table, you can read them is a really, really smart idea. It's little things like that are devil in the details that most people may never even notice when they're playing, but they'll learn to appreciate things like that. And that'll be a really good thing. So I think games like this are great for the holidays. These are perfect stocking stuffer ideas. In fact, it's kind of, the box size is almost designed to go into stocking, which is pretty awesome. So, but I just wanted to kind of point out that, there's a really good amount of quality for the SRP that the product is at, which is really cool.
Yeah, we try to keep our prices very competitive. The footprint on this box size is really small, and so it's a longer type of box, so it doesn't take up as much shelf space. And when a lot of other vendors right now are increasing prices because costs of goods have gone through the roof, shipping prices are 10 times what we were paying last year. And we've held off on doing that up until this point. And I hope we can hold off as long as possible. So we do try to keep the products competitive. We know there's so many great companies out there with awesome game titles that we want to make sure that this jumps out for the consumers as being a good value. I think you guys might be familiar with our Geek Out range. Geek Out is our party trivia line where you're trying to out-geek each other and show off what you know. And we have multiple different versions of the games that have a larger box size with a $20 MSRP, like our original one that comes in the green box. It's all about fantasy and sci-fi and comics and games. Well, this family one is also done really well for us because the questions are very general and open-ended, and kids can compete as well, if not better, than adults sometimes. So Geek Out has a ton of open-ended fun. These larger box versions have over 1,000 questions in them or topics, but we also now have smaller versions of the game as well. So these have, again, a much smaller footprint, a $12 MSRP. We have 3 different versions in our Decades editions, which are 80s, 90s, and the aughts 2000s, which really make them great for gift giving, especially. You can also put all the different versions together and play so that you can have multi-generational fun, but a lot of bang for your buck in this one at $12 with a small little board, and you get that full game experience. We also have a new one that's going to be coming out called Geek Out Video Games, and that's probably going to be out at the very beginning of 22. So stay tuned for that one. A lot of great content in Geek Out Video Games. So I wanted to touch on a little bit of our more strategic aspect of our line. Shards of Infinity, our sci-fi based player versus player deck building game, designed by Justin Gary and the Stoneblade Studios. And we've got a variety of products that he's created. And this game is just really awesome. It comes in a $20 box. All you really need is that starter set to play, and you'll see how cool of a game it is. But over the last couple of years, we've added new expansions. We put the first one out, Relics of the Future, which has a $10 MSRP. Then we added Shadows of Salvation, which had all different types of campaigns and stories to it. And recently we just launched the newest version, which is Into the Horizon, also at a $10 MSRP. So the series was designed with kind of a start and a beginning, and this is something that Justin had gone into in the creation, knowing that this was going to wrap up this year. And we just think that it's an excellent value. The reviews are really positive on this title. And for the whole series at $60, people can really enjoy a lot of fun. So Shards of Infinity, the whole series is now out and is available. So we just wanted to make sure that you're aware of that. And then wanted to touch on the Ascension line, which is kind of what Justin is most well known for, other than being a Magic the Gathering, Pro Tour champion. He created Ascension 10 years ago, and we've put out about 16 different versions of the big box $40 versions that play up to 4 people, and that really have a great, more of a fantasy type of feel to them. Well, what we decided to do here was launch Ascension Eternal. We did put this out last year, kind of in the heart of the pandemic, when things were kind of shut down. And this gives a great opportunity for people to try out Ascension. It's a 2-player version. And what we did was we took artwork from all of those 16 different editions, and we wanted to integrate it into this so that people could try this out, see if they like it, and then move on to Ascension from there. So what we've been doing with the Ascension brand is we've been working with our accessories team to also create some really cool play mats and some custom card sleeves. We have this Ascension Cultist plush, which is an honor token and dice bag holder with a zipper in the back. That's really cool. That also has a $20 MSRP. So now that we've been celebrating this 10-year anniversary, we're just really getting a lot of great exposure. With that, we also decided to update the core set. So we've been selling the 3rd edition core set now for a few years. And as we were creating new artwork for Eternal, we also decided, let's revamp the artwork for the core set. We also decided to design a very custom board for this. And celebrating the 10-year anniversary, this is now the new core set. So $40 MSRP. We think that people that are just getting into the game, that want to start off, with that beginner set, this is just such a great impression because we did really an amazing job in the design department on this one. As you may know, people can join in Ascension at any point. You can start off with any of the decks, and they're all kind of mixable, so they're all standalone starters. But this one really does set itself apart. And new to this year is the Curse of the Golden Isles Ascension. This is a follow-up from our Skulls and Sails pirate-themed version, which introduced some movement on a board and really had your position and the situational aspect of where you are on the board play into the deck building game as well. So I just love how this adds a whole new layer to the Ascension card gameplay. And if you mix this one with Skulls and Sails, you can play up to 6 people. You also have a special ghost ship that now moves around on its own. And again, feedback from players has been, really positive on this. Every year we put out a collector's edition where we take 2 of the previous sets and we add foiled cards and an upgraded board. We put it in a nice tin package. So this year is the CE6, the 6th-year edition, which includes Gift of the Elements and Valley of the Ancients. This one is going to be coming out next month and is really great for collectors or for those fans that didn't pick up the previous sets, and at $100 MSRP really gives them a nice keepsake. And lastly, in the Ascension world, we are launching our Tactics miniature deck building game. So we ran a Kickstarter for Ascension Tactics just last year, raised over $800,000 and really just got a positive response. We've brought this to a few conventions to have people test play it, and the feedback has been overwhelming. You can see on BGG right now that the ratings are really strong. This will be shipping out next month. And we are also fulfilling all the backers right now. And this is a little bit of a scaled down version from the one that was on Kickstarter. But while that one had $100 MSRP, this one only has a $60 MSRP. So really affordable. And what it does is it takes some of that board placement and that movement aspect from Skulls and Sails and from Curse of the Golden Isle, and adds a whole new level to that, as we're now playing a miniature style game with this one. So when I explain when I explain Ascension to people and they're interested in, well, where do I start? Where do I get in? I kind of look at that good, better, best model as far as like, okay, you've got Eternal to get in at a $20 price point. You've got the 10th year anniversary core set and all of the other great additions at a $40 price point. Now you have Tactics at a $60 price point. And then again, for the collectors, we have those, different collectors editions. So we really got something for everybody, whether they played Ascension or not.
Yeah, I have to say this is one of the ones that we're very excited about. Ascension has been a workhorse. I mean, I think it's coming up on a decade almost of being out, and it has just been continuously selling in all forms, right? Whether you have the kind of the starter points, whether you have the collector's editions, whatever it may be. I've had an opportunity to play this game well in advance of the game being released. And the easiest way I've described it to my friends is it feels like you're playing Ascension and XCOM all at the same time. And that's an awesome thing if you're a gamer, especially if you're a strategy gamer. And I think that this expands really, really well on the Skull and Sails concept of spatial awareness inside of the game, but really bringing that tactical warframe kind of style to the game, which is really, really awesome, because now you're not just building a deck and trying to optimize the deck, or maybe just buying something for points and hoping that it, may just help you for point wise later. This game really rewards you from strategic thinking of not just how to build your deck, but how to use that deck physically on the field, which is really, really cool. Scott Pittner just asked a question, which I think is really good, and I don't remember this one, and I'm unfortunately I'm trying to pull it up here, and it's not coming up in my system. Did you have a release date for the 4th edition of Ascension that you just talked about?
Yes, the 4th edition is. I actually want to confirm this, but I believe the 4th edition is going to be out also early November. We're just in the process of getting that shipped out. We have kind of all of our Ascension coming in right now, between Tactics, the 4th edition, and Curse of the Golden Isle. So yeah,
Awesome.
that should be available. We've pretty much phased out the 3rd edition, and the 4th edition, or what we're really calling 10-year anniversary edition, should be out within this next coming month.
Awesome. And just so everyone knows also, I put it into the chat window, but in case you're not here live and aren't seeing the chat, there is a very easy way to get to all of Ultra Pro Entertainment's products at GTS. So if you go to gtsdistribution.com, at the very top, you'll see menus, and you can go to shop by and manufacture, and you'll see Ultra Pro Entertainment listed under there. That'll list everything that's available from UPE, and you can sort it by, release date or schedules and things like that. That's a really nice, easy way to kind of capture everything that's available from UPE available to order right now, which is cool.
Great. Yeah. One last thing I wanted to point out about Ascension Tactics is, and I love your summary on it, Scott, is that the replayability is really there, because there are different modes that you can play. You can play the player versus player. You have a cooperative mode, there are campaign modes. So it's something that gives you that different experience every time you're playing the game. And kind of sticking with that kind of feel of the game, I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of Deranged, which is a semi-cooperative kind of gothic horror type of game. We partnered with Hobby World out of Russia on this one, and the development and the production took a little bit longer. The interesting thing was that this was brought to Gen Con in 2019, and when it was played there, everybody flipped out about it. We were hoping to get the game out within kind of 3 to 6 months after that, and there were some delays. It is available now. But this game is just really cool. Comes with 12 little figs, and there are different modes and different ways to play this game, different campaigns, where you can start off and you can play in an hour's time, or you can play up to 3 hours if you want. But what makes this cool is that there's kind of an internal clock in the game, and you go through 3 different days. And as you go from day to night, well, that's when some of the characters become deranged and turn on everybody else. It's got that semi-cooperative feel to it, which is my favorite way to play these kinds of games, because at one point you're really working together, and then you want to turn on your teammates there to try to pull at the victory yourself. The artwork is really cool. The board is kind of modular. It just really checks all the boxes. This is one that I also suggest going to BGG and reading about if you haven't had a chance to play it, because it's just really cool. So as we're getting into Halloween, this is one that I always like to pull out with friends. It's just kind of got that feel to it, and I want to make sure that you guys are aware that this is available now. Wanted to touch on our Killer Bunnies brand, which is going to be celebrating the 20th year anniversary next year. Similar to what we did with Ascension Eternal, we actually took the best artwork and the best cards, and we put together this compilation set, if you will. I call it a best of, and we pulled the funniest references, the best card mechanics, the most interesting images, and we stripped away a lot of the kind of unnecessary mechanics for people to try out the Killer Bunnies game. So now at a $20 price point, you pick this up, and if you've never played before, within 5 minutes, you're in and you're playing. And I kind of explain it kind of like an Exploding Kittens version of Killer Bunnies, because, there's not that much depth to it, but it will still grab people's attention. And then if they like it, they can move on from there. And moving on from there can either be the blue starter set, which is one that we have recently revamped. We shrunk down the box size, and we're able, just because of all the changes of that, bring the price point down to a $25 MSRP. Otherwise, it's the same SKU. It's the same one that has sold well for years. Now, this one does take a little bit more to get into. It takes 20-25 minutes before you're really off and playing. But if you've already played light, then you've cut that time in half. So this does have a little bit more of that resource management, the markets, the currency that you can spend, the dollar in the game, and it has that full Killer Bunnies experience, which then will allow you to add in the various expansion booster decks that we've put out over the years. We've taken the ones that required you add them in a kind of a sequential order, the color-based model, and we now have a special expansion booster bundle just for that. We also now have the new Anytime bundle. So any expansions that have been launched in the last 3 years can be added in at any time, meaning you just take that blue starter set and add it in, or maybe you have the red, violet, orange and add it in there, or anywhere in between. So the London deck, which introduces a really cool underground or bunderground mechanic, came out last year. Cake Batter is just launching this year, and then we have a lot of other great ones for that. Wanted to move on to my favorite new game in our line, which is called Sweetlandia. And this one was also designed by Justin Gary and the Stoneblade crew. This is a bidding game where you're trying to build your city, your sweet city. And when you do so, you have an objective that you're trying to meet, but then you also have some group objectives. And it's really themed, very fun, with the Marshmallow Mountains and the rocky roads and things like that. And you've got these number-based cards, and you're trying to outbid other people so that you can meet your objectives and you can get the most points and win the game. But at the same time, there's only a finite number of cards that you can do that with. It's got a $15 price point and a small little box. It's jam-packed and really has a great playing experience.
So you're going to laugh a little bit at this one, Dan. We talked a little bit about this on Friday. The retailers may not know about it. What we try to do with our webinars is the Fridays before our webinars, we'll do a sales team webinar. We'll get all of our sales team together, sales managers, have a very similar type, structured discussion here so that they know what y'all are going to see on Mondays when we do the webinars, or Wednesdays, depending on the days we do them. And I talked a little bit about this last week. I picked this game up when I was driving through from Kansas City, where I live, to Austin, Texas. I stopped in Oklahoma, went to a store, saw it, really just, I told Dan, it kind of reminds me of this world where, like, Penelope Von Sweets lives from Wreck-It Ralph, if you're familiar with that Pixar movie. And I love that. So I picked it up and we took it to a friend's house and we played that weekend. And we probably played like 13, 14 games of this, like just boom, 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 right after another, because it's such a quick and easy game to pick up and teach and just keep playing over and over again. But it's funny. So we had that conversation on Friday. Saturday, I'm talking to my friend who was the house that we went to play this. And he said, "Oh yeah, by the way, you're gonna laugh at something." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "You remember that game Sweetlandia we played?" And I was like, "Yeah." I said, I just talked to the guys that make that yesterday." And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Well," he goes, "I went to my retailer and I actually had them pre-order me a whole case because that's what I'm giving away as Christmas gifts to people I work with this year," which I thought was awesome, right? Because it's only like $15 an SRP, which is a great price point. But the box itself is very, very small, right? So it's an easy gift kind of thing. So I thought that was really kind of cool. So
yeah, this is one that because it's got a different look to it, the lighter color scheme, the more pastel, palette, if you will. It's one that appeals to different people, but once they break it out of the box and start playing it, they really love it. Got a little bit of a futuristic aspect to the artwork. I love that it plays up to 6 people, and that while it's something that people that enjoy deeper games also appreciate, it's one that works for families as well. And $15, you can't really beat that. So a very different type of game where you're also trying to build your own land or city is Cutterland. And this one has a really unique wow factor to it because it includes a pair of scissors. It's got a big stack of cards. And on your turn, by following the instructions, you actually take your scissors, cut up the cards so that you can build your tiles and lay them down in the exact way that you want them. So a little bit of one of those legacy feels to it as far as the destroying your game is concerned. But what I really like about it is that it plays to two to four people, and there are enough cards that you can get about 25 to 40 plays out of it. So depending on the number of people, of course. So at a $20 MSRP, you're definitely getting a lot of bang for your buck. But what makes it really cool is the fact that sometimes when you're playing a tile laying game, you only can play the cards that are in your hand. And sometimes things just don't fit. Sometimes you wish, if this was only designed this other way. Well, now you have the control to do that. So you're trying to collect as many victory points as possible. It's got a nice little stick it to your neighbor aspect to it. And again, it's one that has enough depth and strategic choices for gamers, and one that also crosses well over to family. And that's really where our sweet spot is. That true, we have Ascension Tactics and we have Derange. That's kind of on the the deeper strategy side of the spectrum for us. But we really want stuff that people can play in a more casual format, but also say, wow, there was a lot more to it than I thought there would be. So Cutterland is available now, and also really kind of cool graphics with that retro old classic arcade video game type of feel to it. I wanted to make sure that you guys knew that we have Draconic Dice back, which is the revamped version of our Dracarys Dice game. Really simple concept, great little filler game. Nice to start off your evening or maybe end after playing something a little bit deeper. Not a lot of strategic choices on this one. It's so easy. We actually put the rules on the back of the box. Trying to be the first to get rid of your dice, and you're either sending dragons out to opponents, and that's really your choice, is who to have the dragons go and attack. You're having your knights get removed from the game because they get injured, or you're putting the fire in a pit where you either add to the fire, or if you don't roll any, you're getting burned. Simple, it's quick. You can play in 30 seconds to a minute, but people just want to play this one again and again. So this one's available, $12 MSRP, plays up to 5 people. If you have multiple sets, you can play with as many people as you want. And I kind of refer to it as a left, center, right LCR, but in reverse. So rather than trying to collect chips, you're trying to get rid of your dice. So it has that light feel to it. Another one that's one of my favorites in our line is our Ringmaster game. This is one that was really popular about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. We just brought it back into stock. Beautiful artwork on this one. $10 MSRP in a nice compact box that comes in a little display in a CDU counter display unit. And the mechanics on this one are pretty unique. It follows the flux format where the winning conditions are on the card. I'm a huge fan of Flux and most of the Looney Labs catalog. But the one thing about this is it gives you a little bit more control in trying to win the game. It's not quite as chaotic, which is a great aspect of Flux that a lot of people love. But this one makes you feel like you're in more control. The artwork is tied so well to the theme with kind of that old-timey circus, Greatest Showman on Earth, or maybe the latest version of Dumbo type of aesthetic to it. This was also designed by Justin Gary and the Stoneblade team. And for $10, I absolutely think this gives you the most value of any game in our line, just because of that replayability aspect. One of the new ones in our range is called Splits, and it's a trick-taking game with a little bit of a bidding aspect to it. I'll give you kind of the quick summary on this one, where you're laying out 7 cards, and then the person that is the game master or the moderator for that round goes ahead and splits up the deck and does so into a white section, a gray section, and a black section. And then as you're collecting cards, you need to decide which section you're going to bid for. Well, at the end of the game, you only score for the numbers that you have the highest amount of out of all your opponents. And there's only 1 1 and 2 2s and 3 3s up to 10 10s. So you really have to kind of count cards and watch what other people are doing. It creates this really interesting prisoner's dilemma where you're going after a certain card and somebody else is also going after that. And they are. So are you going to play into that? Or are you going to go a different direction? It really has you second guessing what you're going to do, but also trying to predict what your opponents are going to do in a really fun and light format. $10 MSRP. This one also comes in a display, is available now. And this is one that I rarely say you have to try it first to really get it. But this is one that, you play a couple hands of it and then you say, all right, now everyone's got it. You start from scratch, and then people are just so involved in this one. Now, I wanted to show you something that's very different for our line, and I think very different for the market in general. And this is called the My First Adventure series. And it comes in this nice little box. You open it up, it's got a magnetic lid, and then inside we have an adventure book. And the first adventure is Finding the Dragon. And it's kind of like a choose your own adventure style, but it's got a lot of great differences to it. So first off, when you open up the book, you get to choose a character. And once you choose that character, you spin the dial, get that character set, and now you know that that's your character for the rest of this specific game. And then you start the story. And in this specific instance, you wake up in your village one day, you want to go out and you want to find this dragon. And as you turn the pages, you can see that the pages are divided into thirds. So you get to choose which route you want to go. And then when you do, it'll ask you a specific question. So in this instance, it'll ask you if you're this character. And if you are, you turn the page 1. If not, you turn it 2. Well, depending on that, it opens up a whole new series of things where, let's say you get to collect the map. So you turn the green dial that's up here. And now you have this map as a resource. And then you continue on through there. So maybe you picked up the rope, or maybe you picked up some food. You make a wrong turn and you get a damage point. So it's really fun because it changes like those choose your own adventure books, but it does so in a way that there are so many more possibilities. And we aged this one down to 3 and up because you can read it to kids at that young of an age, but it's one that they can also go ahead and pick up and start reading on their own once they're ready. And while I like it as just kind of a fun game that can be played in a group, or it can be played in a solitaire mode, what's really interesting about it is that it's a nice introduction to role-playing games because it puts that player in the driver's seat. There are a lot of great products that have come out from companies that are skewing role-playing games down to children, but again, there's no game master. It's not really trying to make a role-playing for kids. This is an introductory to that concept, but it's a nice little product on its own. Again, $20 MSRP, and this is the first in a full series of these games for us. So really nice, attractive packaging, and available now. So I'm just going to touch on a couple of our other family-friendly games that skew a little bit younger. This one was designed by Bruno Cathala, the great board game designer. And he designed it because he wanted a strategy game to play with his kids, but they were too young at the time. So he created something that was really simple, that no reading was required. And in this instance, it's a 2-player game. You get the little Diplo dinosaurs, and there are 12 adorable figurines that come in the game. And on your turn, you get 2 actions. And the actions allow you to go and go to a piece of grass, one of those little tokens, the little pogs. You flip it over, and they're worth a different value of points, but then there are also sometimes actions that allow you to do other things. So the fact that you get 2 of those actions per turn make it really interesting. And then you can also introduce the T-Rexes to kind of scare off and attack your opponent. $20 MSRP, perfect for the holidays. And this is one that I played with my kids a ton. And I got to tell you, it really holds an adult's attention, where a lot of children's games lack in that regard. What I also think is really great about it is the board is set up in this picture as a 4x4, but because it is modular, you can also mix it up and change it around. So this is the first in a series of games also that was launched in the French market by Bruno Cathala. And Jurassic Snack just really is adorable, checks the boxes. And I can't speak for anybody else's kids, but mine are dinosaur crazy. So this also thematically worked really well. And in addition to Jurassic Snack, we've also just released Sunflower Valley tile laying game. So this is a follow-up to our roll and write game. This one, you have the card tiles in your hand, and when you play one down, you then pass your hand excuse me, to the opponent to your left, who then has to choose from those cards, and that continues to go on. So as you remember which cards you give them, it kind of gives you a little bit of insight into what they're going to be doing as you're trying to score the most victory points. I loved the Sunflower Valley roll and write game. I think that this tile laying game is actually even a little bit better. Plays up to 6 people. We aged this one also at 7+, just because kids can play it, but that does not mean it won't work for adults. And we also gave this one a $20 MSRP. We like to stay with that $20 price point, as you guys can see. We kind of look at that as the threshold. There are instances that we go past that, but Costume Party Detective is another one that we were able to get at that price point, even though we have 20 meeples, oversized meeples in the game that all have different costumes that they're wearing. This is a deduction game that's kind of like a reverse of Clue. And every turn you get a little bit more information about your opponents, either what room they are at the party or who they may be. And really a streamlined mechanic on this one. Again, deduction game, so characters constantly start to leave the party. And then as you do, you're trying to be the last man standing. Simple, easy, and just a lot of fun with really nice components. And for costumes, perfect for Halloween. I wanted to touch on our Snorda family party game. Now, this one's been out for probably about 17 years amongst a variety of companies, has sold over 3 million units worldwide. And it started off as a card game, and then through different development, through different companies, there were plastic figurines and things like that. Each person starts off with an animal noise. You tell each other what animal noise is yours, and then you keep that hidden. And then in a fast-paced manner, you're flipping over your cards in turn. And when you match somebody else's animal, you need to then be the first person to say their animal noise before they say yours, even though you're looking at a different animal that you just matched. It's fun and it's confusing. Kids really get a kick out of it, but I've seen adults have way too much fun playing this game. And the card game version, we got down to that same small box size as Ringmaster, as Splits, as so many other games in our line. So we got it, the $10 MSRP, comes in that counter display. And our hope is as we build back up this line, we will eventually have a deluxe version with plastic figurines and things like that. Another one that we just recently brought back, also from the Stoneblade studio, is You Gotta Be Kidding Me. This is a really great take on that liar's dice or bluff mechanic. In this instance, you've got 3 accessories, a hat, glasses, or a tie, and you've got 3 colors, blue, green, and pink. And everybody knows what they have in their hand, and you've got a little breakdown of the distribution in the deck. And then maybe Scott will start off and say, well, that he has 4 blue items. And then I say I have 5 pink items. And the next person says 6 blue items. Next person says 7 hats. You keep on going around until finally Scott comes out of nowhere and says he's got 11 green items. And I say, you got to be kidding me. And then we all flip over our cards, we count up how many, and then we see if the person is bluffed or not. So it comes off of a mechanic that's been around for decades, if not longer, and really is a nice twist on that with fun artwork, photos of different animals with photoshopped accessories on top of them, which is kind of the trend these days, and really a lot of fun. So, I only touched on a handful of our items, but again, we just kind of wanted to give you guys a feel for what we have in our catalog. We have a lot of other great games. I encourage you to go to upecatalog.com to check out more. Our Dad Jokes party game has been doing really well. We just really have such a nice range. So I wanted to thank you again for your time. Scott, are there any other questions that have popped up that I can address?
No, there hasn't been, although Julio mentioned that he was having some issues with audio. I don't know if anyone else has had issues with audio. If you did, definitely feel free to reach out to me and let me know. We'll look at that during the post editing and make sure that we get that, squared away. Scott Pittner says, I've had no issues with audio. Okay, so hopefully maybe that's on your side, Julio, but I'm sorry if there's anything that was missed. I'll double check it as we're processing the video to put on YouTube, make sure that everything comes through okay. And then Dan, if you don't mind sending me the direct links for those videos that we have in the presentation, absolutely. I'll make sure to add those into the YouTube description as well. Again, I think Scott just said lots of great content here. Thanks for sharing the items from your catalog. Yeah, this is, as we've talked about kind of over the last couple of weeks, we're slowly actually starting to wind down our webinar series for the remainder of the year. As we're filming this today, it's October 25th. People are already buying for the holidays and holiday purchasing is going on and things are getting crazy already. Once we get towards Black Friday timeframe is where I like to kind of shut things down. I like to then allow the retailers to have time to focus on, holiday sales, end of year inventory, all the kind of logistical operational management type stuff we know that you guys have to push through at the end of the year. So I want to make sure you have time to focus on stuff like that and don't feel like you're missing out from the webinar stuff. But what I really try to do is try to find as many people as we can fit that are the right fits in this October timeframe that have products that are keen for this time of year. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, if you joined a few minutes late, we talked about the Pokemon trainer balls that are available in the trainer trivia games. Those have been 3 of the top 5 sellers for us this month, and they've done extremely, extremely well. I'm 100% confident they're going to continue to be top sellers into November and December as well, just given the demand for Pokemon in general, but also that cool, really, really neat gift idea of it's part toy, it's part game. It's really, really keen and a cool little device. So I think that's going to do really well. But then, like we talked about as well, a lot of these games have really, really good SRPs. And, this is, I dubbed it back at the beginning of the year. This has been the year of the moving target, right? And you could apply that to a lot of different things. But when it comes to logistics and shipping costs, that has been a real big challenge for people. And Ultra Pro has done a tremendous job of maintaining their SRPs, maintaining the value of their products to the consumers as well, which thus in turn means that it should be easier from a retail perspective to be able to sell those. And I think that when you look at the varying different options that are out there, depending on whatever type of store you have, right? If you have a store that's mostly focused on kids or casual consumers, there's a lot of really good products in here for that, from the Killer Bunny stuff to the children's games that we just talked about. If you have a store that's more strategic minded to people who are, really hardcore hobby gamers, got a lot of stuff from the Stoneblade line. That new Ascension Tactics that's coming out is really amazing. Plus, I don't know if I know of a store that doesn't carry Geek Out. That's just kind of like, it's such a staple type thing. I think I may still hold the world record for Geek Out. I played in a game where a guy at Gen Con actually bid up to 800 different Super Mario characters that he could name during Geek Out. And we challenged him and he went going. And I think half the table just said, okay, I'm going to go get a snack. I'll come back by the time he's done. Right. It was kind of crazy. But it's a great party game, right? When you have all the different, kind of the aughts and the 90s and the 80s and the things like that. It's, again, really good stocking stuffer type things, really good impulse buy type things. We didn't touch on it either, but I just want to make sure people know there's a lot of the smaller games like the Ringmaster game or the Splits that come with countertop display units if you buy cases. So those are really, really good this time of year as well. Something that's really small and easy to put right next to the register and, make that $10, $12 type sale there at the last minute as well. So I think it's great. I probably could go on all day about it, but, I'm obviously a big fan of Ascension personally. So, have a lot of those products and have been very, very happy with them. But I think overall Ultra Pro hits on a lot of different cylinders that are good for the consumers, which ultimately are also good for you guys as the retailers, and just really good stuff all the way around. So, I could probably go on for days, but I won't. It's okay. With that, though, there are no additional questions. This slide is great in terms of how to reach out and get a hold of Ultra Pro. If you need to reach out to me, definitely feel free. You can do that anytime. My email is just smorris@gtsdistribution.com. But Dan, thank you so much. Really do appreciate you taking the time to come in and talk to us. As I always say, this is not a one and done. We're more than welcome to have you back in the future as new products are available and Q1 comes around, Q2 rolls around, the new stuff's going to be available. Retailers, thank you very much as well. I know, like I mentioned, it's already getting crazy. I've talked to several retailers in the last week or so that have said they've really seen a big uptick in foot traffic coming in. Obviously, there's more and more news articles that keep coming out saying, hey, things are going to be strained in December timeframe, which is driving more and more purchasing now. So hopefully that all leads to very strong success for everyone for the holidays. So if you have questions, let us know. Be happy to help you out. But with that, I hope everyone has a great week. I hope you have a great time in your stores. Dan, thanks again so much. Tell everyone on the team we said hi, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate your time.